Session 11 of Active Listening Mastery, 15 Practical Lessons for Better Communication. Active listening in family and romantic relationships. The most painful misunderstandings often happen with the people we love most. You can live with someone, spend years with them, know their habits, remember their stories, and genuinely care about their happiness, and still hear them say, "You never understand me. Why does this happen?" Why do people who care deeply about each other still feel unheard, unseen, and misunderstood? The answer is often not a lack of love. It is a lack of listening at the moment listening matters most. In close relationships, conversations are rarely just about information. A partner saying, "You are always busy," may not simply be commenting on a schedule. They may be expressing loneliness. A parent saying, "You never call," may be expressing a desire to remain important in their child's life. A teenager saying, "You don't trust me," may be asking for more independence and respect. A sibling who becomes angry over a small issue may be carrying frustration that has been ignored for months. The words we hear are often only the surface. Active listening helps us hear what exists underneath. This is especially important in family and romantic relationships because emotional history changes the way we listen. With strangers, we may be patient. With the people closest to us, we often assume we already know what they mean. That assumption can become dangerous. When your partner begins a sentence, you may think, "I know where this is going." When your mother raises a concern, you may immediately remember similar conversations from the past. When your brother complains, you may expect another argument before he has even finished speaking. Instead of listening to the person in front of us, we begin listening to our memory of previous conflicts. This is one reason repeated arguments feel so frustrating. The subject may appear to change, but the emotional pattern remains the same. One person speaks, the other becomes defensive. The first person feels unheard and repeats the message more strongly. The second person feels attacked and defends themselves even more. Soon, both people are arguing about tone, wording, and blame instead of the real problem. Imagine a woman telling her partner, "When I come home, you're always looking at your phone." Her partner may immediately respond, "That is not true. I was only checking something for work." The response may be factually correct, but it misses the emotional message. What she may actually mean is, "I miss feeling connected to you." A more active listening response could be, "It sounds like you feel ignored when I am on my phone after you come home. Is that what you mean?" That question changes the direction of the conversation. It does not mean the listener must accept blame for everything. It simply means understanding comes before defense. This principle is essential in close relationships. Before you explain your intention, make sure you understand the other person's experience. Intention and impact are not always the same. You may intend to be helpful, but the other person may experience your behavior as controlling. You may intend to give someone space, while they experience it as emotional distance. You may believe you are being honest, while the other person experiences your words as unnecessarily harsh. Active listening creates room for both realities. Consider a parent and adult child. The parent says, "You never ask for my advice anymore." The adult child may hear criticism and respond, "I am an adult. I can make my own decisions." But active listening asks a different question. What need is behind the statement? Perhaps the parent is not demanding control. Perhaps they are feeling excluded. A more useful response might be, "Are you feeling like I have become distant from you?" That response can reveal the real issue. Once people feel understood, difficult conversations often become easier because they no longer need to fight as hard to make themselves heard. This does not mean every disagreement disappears. Active listening is not a magic solution that makes two people suddenly agree. Its purpose is different. It creates enough understanding for disagreement to become constructive instead of destructive. One of the most important skills in emotionally close relationships is listening without immediately correcting. When someone says, "You never support me," the word never may feel unfair. Your first instinct may be to list all the times you offered support. But if you respond only to the inaccurate word, you may miss the deeper message. Try listening for the experience behind the exaggeration. You could say, "I know I have supported you in some situations, but it sounds like right now you feel alone. Tell me what kind of support you needed from me." Now the conversation has moved from proving someone wrong to understanding what is missing. This is particularly useful during repeated arguments. Repeated arguments usually contain repeated unmet needs. Perhaps one partner wants appreciation, while the other wants recognition for their effort. Perhaps one family member wants independence, while another wants reassurance. Perhaps two siblings are arguing about responsibilities, but underneath the conflict, both feel that their contributions are taken for granted. When the same conflict keeps returning, stop asking only, "Who is right?" Ask, "What important need is not being heard?" Active listening also requires emotional self-control. This can be difficult because the people closest to us know exactly how to affect us. A stranger's criticism may be easy to ignore, but criticism from a partner, parent, child, or close friend can activate old fears and insecurities. When emotions rise, listening becomes harder because your mind shifts from understanding to protecting yourself. You may interrupt, you may become silent. You may prepare your defense while the other person is still speaking. A useful practice is to slow down before responding. You do not need to answer every sentence immediately. Take a breath, let the other person finish. Then summarize what you understood. You might say, "Let me make sure I understand." You are not saying that I never care. You are saying that during the last few weeks, you have felt like other things are getting more attention than our relationship. This gives the speaker an opportunity to correct you before the conversation becomes an argument based on assumptions. In family relationships, another major challenge is history. Families often have long memories. A simple disagreement today can suddenly become connected to something that happened 5 years ago. A brother may say, "This is exactly what you always do." A parent may say, "You have been like this since you were young." A partner may bring up several previous arguments to explain why they're upset now. Sometimes history is important, but constantly using the past as evidence can prevent people from listening to the present. Active listening requires asking, "What is happening now?" Listen to the current concern before connecting it to an old pattern. Instead of saying, "Here we go again," try saying, "I know we have argued about similar things before. I want to understand what is bothering you this time." That sentence communicates maturity. It separates the current person from your automatic expectations. Respect is another foundation of active listening in close relationships. People need to feel that they can speak without being mocked, dismissed, or punished. A teenager may stop sharing personal thoughts because every conversation becomes a lecture. A husband may stop discussing stress because his concerns are immediately compared with someone else's problems. A wife may stop expressing disappointment because every concern becomes a debate about whether she is too sensitive. When people expect dismissal, they eventually stop communicating honestly. Active listening protects emotional safety by taking feelings seriously, even when you see the situation differently. You can say, "I do not see it exactly the same way, but I understand why you felt hurt." That sentence is powerful because it does not require false agreement. Understanding is not surrender. Validation is not admitting that you are entirely wrong. You can respect someone's emotional experience while still having your own perspective. Another common problem in close relationships is trying to solve a problem before understanding whether the person wants a solution. Imagine a man coming home from work and explaining a difficult situation with a colleague. His partner immediately begins offering advice. "Send an email. Talk to your manager. You should stop worrying about it." The advice may be reasonable, but perhaps he first wanted emotional support. Before solving, ask, "Do you want advice, or do you mainly need someone to listen?" This simple question can prevent many misunderstandings. The same principle applies to children, parents, partners, and friends. Sometimes people need practical help. Sometimes they need comfort. Active listening helps you discover which one they actually need. Close relationships also improve when people listen for expectations that were never clearly expressed. Many arguments begin with an unspoken expectation. One partner expected help without asking. Another expected appreciation without expressing that need. A parent expected regular communication. An adult child expected more privacy. Both people may feel disappointed, yet neither expectation was clearly discussed. Instead of assuming, active listening brings expectations into the open. You might ask, "What were you hoping I would do?" Or, "What would have made you feel supported in that situation?" These questions transform vague disappointment into something specific that can actually be addressed. The goal is not to become perfect listeners. No one listens perfectly when tired, stressed, hurt, or emotional. The goal is to recognize when you have stopped listening and return to the conversation with curiosity. You can even repair a conversation after handling it badly. You might say, "I realize I interrupted you earlier because I became defensive. I want to hear what you were trying to tell me." That kind of repair can strengthen trust. Active listening is not only about preventing conflict. It is also about building connection during ordinary moments. Listen when your partner talks about something small. Listen when your child tells you about their day. Listen when a parent repeats a story because the story may matter more than the information itself. Listen when a friend says, "I'm fine," but their voice suggests otherwise. Close relationships are built through repeated experiences of feeling important to another person. People do not always remember every piece of advice you gave them, but they often remember how it felt when they could speak honestly without being interrupted, corrected, or dismissed. So why do people who care about each other still feel misunderstood? Because caring about someone does not automatically mean understanding them. Understanding requires attention. It requires curiosity. It requires the humility to admit that even after years of knowing someone, there may still be things you do not fully understand about their inner world. The next time a conversation becomes difficult, resist the urge to win immediately. Pause. Listen for the feeling beneath the words. Reflect what you heard. Ask what the person needs. Then share your own perspective. That is how active listening turns conflict into conversation and closeness into deeper understanding. If this lesson helped you, practice it today with someone important in your life. Like this video, share it with someone who may benefit from better communication, and subscribe for the next lesson in the Active Listening Mastery Series. In the next session, we will explore how to use active listening in difficult conversations and conflict resolution, so you can stay connected even when the conversation is uncomfortable.